Yo, what's up everybody? This is Jose from Sun Life. On this video, we're going to be exploring Birmingham, Alabama. Yes. So we get off on Titusville, which is on the south side of Birmingham. Basically, we're checking out Hoover. So before you get mad at me and say, Jose, you're only showing the bad side of Birmingham. Actually, the upload right before this one, we were showing Hoover, which is the nice side of Birmingham. And by the way, supporting small business, I'm drinking water right here. This water is called Equilibrium, and it's bottled in Birmingham, Alabama. So, yeah, supporting small local businesses by drinking water that's right here from Alabama. So we get off on Titusville Road, and this is where our tour kind of starts for the day, on the south side of Birmingham. And on this video, we kind of kept it towards the south side of Birmingham. We didn't really go too far to the west or too far to the east or the north. We kind of kept it on the south side of Birmingham. And we also did a little bit of downtown. That's just where we ended up on this trip. There's no favoritism. There's always somebody like, man, you didn't show the north side, or you didn't show, yo, it's just where we landed on this trip. And by the way, you're not really from Alabama unless you got a Panama City Beach shirt. That's like, just kidding, y'all. But for real though, I mean, if you're in Alabama, you need to get you one of these. I mean, if you're in Alabama and you're not going to the Florida Panhandle at some point, there's something wrong with you. You got to do it, man. So, anyways, on this tour, we're gonna go through some hoods as well, but we start off on the south side, and then we kind of creep our way towards downtown, showing you guys the inner city neighborhoods. Yeah, inner city neighborhoods. You know, the hood. Now, let me tell you something about Birmingham that a lot of people just don't understand. When people think about Birmingham, they only think about all the bad statistics. It has the highest crime rate in the country. It's got the third highest murder rate, and so on and so on. There's a lot of negativity around Birmingham because this, the city limits encompasses pretty much some of the worst parts of the metropolitan area, and not too many good areas. But when you look at the metropolitan area, you zoom out, it's just the city limits, and you look at the whole Birmingham area, it's about 1 million people, and it's got some really great areas, especially around the south side. You got Hoover. By the way, Hoover is like a suburb of Birmingham with like 85,000 people, all making over $85,000 a year. So that's like a huge portion of a population that's making huge income. And then you got other places like Meadowbrook. You got all these suburbs, Calera, most of Shelby County. By the way, Shelby County, which sits just south of Birmingham, has the highest income in the entire state of Alabama for a county. It's even richer than Collier County in Florida, which is Florida's richest county. So Alabama's richest county is actually richer than Florida's richest county. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about Alabama, as far as poverty and being the worst and all that. But the thing is, you're looking at the city of Birmingham. When you look at the whole metropolitan area, it does have a lot of great areas. A lot of areas that I would even recommend. I actually like Birmingham more than Atlanta at this point until I check out the northwest and northeast side of Atlanta. Again, probably the northeast side of Atlanta I might like a lot. And it's going to feel similar, kind of like to the Homewood area probably. But it's been a while since I've been out there. But I can tell you, as far as like Atlanta itself versus Birmingham, especially on the south side of the cities, I really like Birmingham a lot more. So I think it's a really underrated area in general. And just because Birmingham itself has just a bad reputation, it all comes down from the steel. The steel made Birmingham what it is, and it also destroyed it. It's kind of like the auto industry in Detroit, where at one point these were really important places, but as some of these industries left the area and disappeared, it kind of left a void of employment. And it expands into not just Birmingham, but also into Hueytown and a bunch of other suburbs, Irondale. All these areas around Birmingham kind of depended on the steel industry. And when that kind of went to crap, so did most of the employment in the city itself. It's also noteworthy to mention that purposely the banks, starting in like the 40s to the 60s, there was a time period where they started to discriminate against particular demographics. And they didn't want to finance homes. And to this day, the banking system has kind of not helped people be able to obtain housing and be able to finance housing. So where on this side of the hill where the rich people live, they'll finance houses into ridiculous numbers. But in the city of Birmingham, they called it an area they thought would be declining. But basically what they were really doing was they were discriminating Birmingham. You guys know it's one of the blackest cities in the United States. And they were basically just discriminating the black population. Banks were not letting them be able to obtain loans. Of course, they had all types of explanations, but the reality of it was that it was motivated around that purpose. And that's not something I made up. That's something you can actually look into, and how the banking system kind of played into the destruction of the city by not allowing people in Birmingham to be able to finance houses, by calling it an area that the banks thought would be in decline. Basically, there's a lot of politicking in the city, and it's kind of between that and an industry and banking has kind of left the city kind of in ruins and in really bad conditions. So it's kind of hard when a community is stripped of all the resources that other communities have for progress, and it's just kind of left to its own without no exterior support. But anyways, that's just looking at it from a social economical aspect, not going any further than that. So there's a lot to learn from Birmingham. And today, moving forward, I think the area in general has affordability, incredible views. If you like nature, it's definitely a good city for you. And it does have amazing suburbs. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Birmingham, Alabama. We're going to take a tour through the city at night. It's rough as crap. Look at that garbage can like overflowing over there. Birmingham, Alabama. A lot of videos showing the nice sides of Birmingham. A lot. Fultondale, we've done all of that. So don't come on here saying you only show. There's always somebody who's never seen our channel. It's always somebody who's never seen our channel before. First time they see our channel, and they'll make a comment like, "Why do you only show the bad side of our city?" I'm like, I've been showing every side of your city. You're just illiterate.
Too lazy to click the channel and look at the videos of
they
the channel.
Just assume they assume the absolute worst of everything. And then one time. Yeah. But today's a Saturday. It might be more active. Today was dead the night we were out. It was like Northwest Miami.
Meat market. And you got the blinking light.
It's got the red light on. We've got to get those signs on the SUV that say like YouTube, real big and clear, so when we drive through, people know what we're doing. Because like people see you and they're not gonna know exactly what you're up to.
And they may not like that you're on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I don't care what they're. At least they know what you're doing,
Yeah.
Because if we drive, first of all, our car looks like a police car.
Yeah.
It looks like not only a police car, it looks like an FBI. But that could be a good thing. It could make people not want to even look our way. I don't know. It's not like when we used to have the junk truck. That thing was undercover, man. The junk truck that thing was so undercover. We never had a problem with the junk truck. That thing was like super undercover.
Once we did.
But like most people, like when they see the junk truck, they think you're picking up scrap metal.
Yeah.
And that's like a total normal thing to see in the hood. So like, it just goes undercover. Watch out here. This would be easy for somebody to do a roadblock. These roads are thin. They have to block you in and not let you get out. You gotta pay attention to these little projects. You just never know what type of crap's going on. You just never know what type of stuff is going on. Right here. Cops are already active over here. Nice place out here. Smell weed. Strong smell of weed. These police cars blocking the road. This cop's gonna come blow us over now. Well, there's cops here. That's a free pass for us. It's a free pass. They're not gonna do anything crazy. There's already cops right there. Kind of like Liberty City when you can follow a cop around. This reminds me of Little Haiti, like the housing projects in Little Haiti. Yeah. It's actually built exactly like the projects in Little Haiti. And these are, I think the ones in New Orleans. The ones in New Orleans were just like this too, like as far as design. These are like, I think these are from like the 40s. They're from the same era, you know? Let's go this way. You can see the skyline over there? Sweet deal, man. You got a skyline view. Can't beat that. This reminds me of the ones in Miami. Like Little Haiti. Yeah, Little Haiti. Yeah, he's got a little Volkswagen from like the 70s. That's hilarious. I got a good in Liberty City. In Little Haiti, I mean. Little Haiti. Probably from the same era. Birmingham. You know what's crazy is that Montgomery at night, if you're going through Montgomery at night, it looks like there's more activity, a lot more going on in Montgomery at night. It looks like it, right? But it's actually a whole lot worse here. You can see bigger crowds in Montgomery, like more people scoping you out and everything. I can't believe how many cops are like everywhere. I'm not sure where the crap we are. Let's see here. We're about to cross into another neighborhood here. Any neighborhood that's near a highway is always going to be crappy. The GoPro was pretty good at, I mean the iPhone was pretty good at that. The GoPro's garbage at night. But these iPhones, they're really good at night. I'm going to guess it's going to be a rough neighborhood too because it's between highways. Any neighborhood that gets left between highways is usually going to be scary.
Yeah. It's also 6 o'clock at night.
It's still a Saturday though.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't matter when, Montgomery. It could be a Wednesday night, there's people out and about. I'm saying like as far as looks, you would be.
Yeah.
Let's go to downtown. Want to go to downtown real quick?
Sure, whatever.
people here. But yeah, Birmingham is a very, as a metropolitan area, is very underrated as a metropolitan area because people only see like, oh, Birmingham has a really high crime rate. That's all they know about Birmingham. So people ask me, Jose, would you recommend the actual city of Birmingham to move into? And the answer is no. The place, putting aside its history, putting aside all that, I wouldn't recommend you move to Birmingham. Even a lot of people tell me, well, what about for affordability? I need a lot. There's no excuse why you would end up in Birmingham. But there's nothing against the city of Birmingham. But the same thing that's happened in Birmingham happens in Montgomery, happens in just about every city in the South, where the core of the city is kind of just being left to crap because people want to live in the suburbs, and maybe Birmingham or Montgomery or any other city in the South, it seems like the downtown districts are just being left to just nothing. I mean, Montgomery, if I show you Montgomery and I show you the downtown district, you're like, it's a ghost town. And even when I first moved to Montgomery, I was like, yo, this is a complete ghost town. I can't believe this is the center of the city. It's quite depressing. But then you go to the east side of town and you see a whole different world. Then you go to the suburbs and you see a whole different world. And the same happens with like Jackson, Mississippi. Just like almost every city in the South has this issue going on. Jacksonville, the same thing with Jacksonville. It's just like the center of the cities in the South are in really bad condition. So if you just show the core of the city, it's in absolute bad shape. And by the way, Birmingham has one strange thing, is that it doesn't feel dangerous. And that's kind of an odd statement to make, considering its actual crime statistics are the worst in the country. So people just assume that the whole area is bad. It's really not. They got suburbs here that are some of the nicest suburbs. I like it more than Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Only second to like St. Louis and Detroit. Even with these horrible crime rates that Birmingham has on paper, and in actuality, it actually doesn't feel dangerous. And I've thought about like the city of Jacksonville. The city of Jacksonville is about the same size as a metropolitan area. And the demographics are actually very similar in the size of the cities and everything. And it's almost like if all of Shelby and Jefferson County were part of Birmingham city limits, then its statistics would pretty much mirror Jacksonville, Florida. In other words, I actually feel more, even though Birmingham has a much higher crime rate, I still consider Jacksonville, Florida to be equally, if not more dangerous. And that's an odd observation. In other words, not only how statistics are laid out, but, you know, if you were to just kind of make things fair, Birmingham, if you compare Jacksonville to Birmingham, you would say Birmingham is way worse. But if you would look at the metropolitan area, and then you look at crime and all these statistics for the whole metropolitan area, they're actually pretty similar. So it's just kind of messed up the way the city limits kind of make things look a whole lot worse than what they really are. So again, a very underrated city, and I think that the way the city's kind of been segmented as far as city limits and suburbs and stuff, or like in Jacksonville, the whole Duval County, or Louisville, Kentucky is another example where all of Jefferson County there is Louisville city limits, which helps lower the crime rate. If Louisville, Kentucky, I can almost guarantee you that if Louisville, Kentucky was the old city limits, which was about 260,000 people, if Louisville, Kentucky was the old city limits, it would probably be as high as Detroit, or, you know, it would be like top 5 most dangerous cities. What a view coming into town, look at this. Yeah, buddy, that's what's up right there.
Continue on 16th Street North for half a mile.
It's an incredible city, I don't care. And especially at night, this city at night, driving into this city at night is incredible. like driving into Birmingham at night is an incredible thing. Whether you're just driving by on the highway, you know, you got mountains surrounding the whole city. It's an incredible city. I don't care what you got to say. I like Birmingham. And there's a lot of artists coming out of Birmingham. Now, I think Birmingham is eventually going to compete with Atlanta when it comes to music. They have a lot of talent here in Alabama. They're going to take the spotlight from Atlanta. I love how they did this bridge.
Huh.
But anyways, make sure you watch our videos showing the nicer parts of Birmingham, because we do show a lot of the nicer stuff going into Birmingham. It's not all just hoods. There's a lot of really nice stuff to the city. I mean, nonetheless, it's not as impressive as Miami or something, but you know, for being in Alabama, it's an interesting city. It's obviously it's not Miami. It's not gonna have that awe of Miami, or the life of Miami even. Can't compare it.
Yeah, and check out some of our other videos. Maybe there's some other cities that interest you as well.
As far as crime goes, especially now after 2020, where crime has just increased through a lot of places. So that's something you also got to consider with crime rates and all that, and that there's a lot of things that play into that stuff. So you have to kind of look outside and see the big picture. And really, when you compare these large cities, Louisville, Jacksonville, Birmingham, they all kind of fall within the same category, with a few exceptions like Miami, Tampa, and Nashville. They're cities that are doing things kind of in a whole different way. But just a little extra to expound upon exactly why Birmingham kind of on paper seems kind of like a scary place. But when you're in the streets of Birmingham, it doesn't feel any less scary than Jacksonville, Louisville, Kentucky, or a lot of other places in the south. Between our subscriber base, but the last time we did a video here, it got up to like foggy night in downtown Birmingham. Isn't that weird? I never thought I'd ever like have time to scope out Birmingham. Oh, life's taking us places. Never thought I'd have time to scope out Birmingham. Like, just we're here. Let's fix that up real quick. All right. So I was just watching a video by The World According to Briggs, which I'm starting to like a whole lot more than Nick Johnson. Well, he mentions on this video that Alabama isn't really doing anything to kind of change their crime rates. Which, if you think about it, you know, like in Florida, we've talked about this on our channel, how in Florida they artificially let a lot of things slide to keep their crime rates down. Alabama don't do that. And as you can see in this video, the police in Birmingham is like relentlessly going after criminals. And criminals here, they have to be on, you can tell that criminals in Birmingham, they have to be on their toes because law enforcement is everywhere and they're doing their job. And Alabama doesn't really seem to care. It's kind of what, in a sense, what the World According to Briggs kind of was saying, which Alabama's not really concerned with doing something about their crime problem on paper. In reality, they are doing their job. And like in other cities, you'll catch a lot of environment, people hanging out. And in Birmingham, there's not too much of that because it seems like law enforcement is kind of deep in the streets doing their job. And that's kind of an interesting observation how in other places, law enforcement, kind of like in Louisville, Kentucky, where they just put up with everything. I mean, there's people, when I was in Louisville, Kentucky, there's people driving the wrong way, blowing red lights in front of cops, and the cops don't do anything. So in Birmingham, you're not going to do that. So anywhere in Alabama, actually, you're not going to do that. So it's interesting too how not only the laws of each state, but how they're enforced and how the police take their job and to what extent the cops actually go after crime. It varies from place to place. In a lot of places are complete lawlessness, like Louisville, Kentucky, but in other places like Birmingham, the law is persistently on top of criminals. Birmingham, of all places. If you told me I'd be in Birmingham a year ago, I would have never believed they were doing what? Doing videos in Birmingham? What? How'd that happen? Lost the fear of life, that's how. You just gotta do whatever you gotta do in life, man. Fear is not your friend sometimes. And that's what kept us in Florida for so long. Fear. Oh, we're gonna starve if we move to Alabama. There's no jobs in Alabama. It's poor. There's crime. Okay.
That was the worst mistake we made. We could have came here and that would be nice.
Timing worked out though. I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, no.
I'm definitely not gonna complain about timing for anything. Everything worked out. But it's interesting though how the perception of a place that you can have, and it's actually better in a lot of ways.
Yup, that's it.
And I wanna jump you. I think I'm gonna do the GoPro. No, I'm gonna leave it where it's at. What's this guy waving me down for? Food? Begging.
600 feet, take the I-59 south ramp to I-20 west, I-59 south.
Over there.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That's gotta be a good view.
I told you the view was nice in this drive.
The Sheridan,
Turn it up so I can hear.
the west I-59 south thing.
South? It's not?
Use the left lane to stay on I-20 west, then use the left lane to
keep in
take
the middle.
exit 124B.
A la fuerza entonces, amigo. ¿Qué tú crees? A la fuerza? We're really scrapping this thing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're watching from the Birmingham area, what do you think about my video evaluation? And if you live there, sure you see some wild stuff from time to time. And well, I was in Birmingham and I did notice that the local radio station is playing a lot of local artists, which is probably a good thing because I think eventually Birmingham is going to try to compete with Atlanta for the music scene. So check it out. I hope you guys liked this video and my evaluation of Birmingham, Alabama, a city that I do enjoy to go to a lot.